Now I'm pretty sure we're live. Let me check real
Exciting.
quick. Yeah, now we're officially live on YouTube. Let me double check real quick.
Certainly seem to be, according to my phone.
Now, so you can see it, right?
Mm-hmm. You see us both there. We both look absolutely charming.
Let's do this. All right, let me
The
copy
lighting's good,
this
honestly.
and let's tweet about it all over Twitter and Instagram and all that. Or should you call it X now, right?
Wow.
Whatever.
I don't.
Huh?
You would never catch me. You would never catch me calling it that.
All right. We're live, bro.
Congratulations, us.
Yes, sir. We're gonna simply talk about the chapter that just dropped, 1148,
Yep.
and we're live discussing the latest chapter, 1148.
Get it up on multiple resources so I can look at it all over.
Perfect.
Start from the start or start from what's most interesting?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna start with Copper Gaban, bro. The Conqueror's Hockey. We're definitely gonna start
A
with this.
discussion
Yeah.
discussion about. I think it is an interesting. Obviously, it's the most interesting part of the chapter
Yeah,
in
definitely.
terms of fan base's discussion on it.
Yeah. And it definitely brought some unnecessary discourse on Twitter, so
I got a few thousand likes on a tweet about it, so I'm not too upset. You're telling me this isn't Conqueror's Hockey? When the reality is, who knows?
right, we're gonna definitely talk about this, so chapter 48 discussion. All right, now I got the story posted. All right. Alrighty, so yeah, now officially the live stream is on, and we're gonna basically talk about the latest chapter 1148. So simply, let's not waste time, and to start things off with Cyclo, my dude, and we're probably, most definitely, hopefully, gonna do this every time the new chapter releases. So yeah, Cyclo, my dude. Before we start the hot discussion and everything, let's start with how did you find the chapter? Simply.
Yeah. Hi, I'm at Anime Encyclo on Twitter,
Yeah.
X.
You're gonna
But
get all the links in the description.
yeah, the chapter itself, I think, was it was one of the better chapters of the Elbaf arc so far. It's definitely one of my favorite chapters of the arc so far.
Now, can I just exclude the
Um,
agenda piece?
yeah, without anything about
Okay.
even ignoring the final couple of pages.
Okay.
I loved the villains being really villainous. The Straw Hats cheering Robin on while she's doing her thing, and then a bit more of that stuff. I thought it was a brilliant chapter throughout. What about yourself?
Yeah, I guess fair enough. I mean, to be fair, I kind of like find it not weird, but it's the Oda system. Like every time we start a new arc, it start really hot,
Mm.
and then we get into the much lore piece. But in this chapter, it was simply based on the fact that the countdown is on and Summers is threatening all the Elbaf like elders, if it makes sense, that they gotta burn everything and all that. So the whole
Yeah.
chapter was mainly focused on the fact that they're gonna start the
Like,
countdown and the
yeah,
kids are in
like
danger and all of that.
action.
Yeah, so the fact that it was mainly focused on the idea that the whole kids are in danger and all of that, I didn't dislike it. It was perfect, like in storytelling wise, perfect, absolutely. But I'm not gonna say it was one of the best Elbaf chapters because we've seen some crazy stuff. But
I
yeah,
mean, that's a fair point. It doesn't compare to like the mural from a few chapters ago and some of the reveals that we've had.
Yeah.
But in terms of the One Piece feel of it, I guess maybe that's what I felt we got in this one, where it was just whoever is there is dealing with the villain in front of them.
yeah,
And sometimes that ended up being people like Zoro jumping in front of Fujitora and Doflamingo way back when and stuff like that. You've got that kind of feel to me.
yeah.
When I'll let you lead it so that we're not walking into different subjects
All
and
right,
topics.
perfect. So just simple out of 10. What do you give this chapter?
I think with you're right. It's not absolute peak. I'd say this is a solid 8 out of 10 chapter for me.
Yeah, makes sense, makes sense. Alrighty. So now we move to the main topic of the chapter, which basically everybody was talking about. Scupper Gaban at the end of this chapter, when he cut Summer's hand or forearm or whatever,
Yeah.
was it Conqueror's Haki or not?
Does it matter?
Yes, it absolutely does.
I agree that for my own agendas and for his character in general, whether he has Conqueror's Haki is important. But in this moment, when he has performed a feat that we as fans have needed to see, where someone has overcome the immortality effect that the Holy Knights and the Gorosei have, that's more important than sort of how he did it necessarily. Until we find out how he did it, it's just more important that it is possible. However, yeah, of course it was Conqueror's Haki.
yes, dude. This... Okay.
I think a lot of people can accept that argument once they, at least for this next break week, until we get the next chapter, people can accept that argument for a lot of reasons. It does explain why Nusjiro blocked Zoro's attack when he was attacking the Sunny. It would have explained that because Zoro was coming in with everything he had. So if Conqueror's Haki is relevant to their regeneration, and maybe slicing damage is also part of it in some way, you could connect those two. I do think that the best answer you could get if you would end up in the discourse is, we'll find out next week, probably.
Look, okay, I got another question. Like,
next chapter.
Oh, yeah. What if it's a new type of Haki, if that makes sense?
Could be the power of love, couldn't it?
No, absolutely. I mean, to be fair, Summers, he talks about love a lot. Even in this chapter, he was talking about it. So,
yep. Gaban talked about the power of love. Vegapunk, last arc, has talked about the power of love in regards to Kuma, and they're on the island, Vegapunk. So that I do think that this would be a good arc for us to get an answer on that. And how many more new Haki systems and power play things can we even afford at this point?
Yeah, but it totally makes sense for the left hand of Roger to be the guy who finds a new way on how to defeat these like immortal dudes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. Here's the thing. Shanks is known to have observation killing.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
And it really does seem like Scopper Gaban's observation haki is very high tier.
Yeah, definitely.
So if Conqueror's coating is to Conqueror's haki like armament haki is,
Yeah.
then maybe there's an observation haki version of Conqueror's haki usage that can then be used to affect your opponent.
Yeah, but what does observation haki have to do with regeneration and immortality? I think armament would make more sense.
I agree, but if I follow that line, these people have been summoned in from somewhere.
Yeah.
So they're not necessarily completely physically there. Does that make sense?
Oh, no way. But to be fair, he wasn't dressed Summers, so when he was summoned, he was confused that I gotta like put my dress on. So yeah, they're physically.
No, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
And I know that the Gorosei were physically not in the room.
Yeah.
When they were summoned, so they are physically there, but it might not be their body. They might not really be at risk. Does that make sense? I don't know, but I think you're right. From the way that he was scared at the end of the chapter, I think he's at risk.
Yeah. All right. So I mean, to be fair, he was scared from the fact that he's seen Scopper Gaban, who was probably known to the world that he's dead, if that makes sense. In this chapter I believed that since he's been like in Elbaf for 20 plus years now, right? So I would probably assume that people outside of Elbaf are assuming that Scopper Gaban is dead. So now So the fact that Summers now seen Scopper Gaban, like it leads to two things from his perspective. That how the hell are you how the hell are you not dead? And number two, Scopper Gaban is probably the guy who's done something to him, like they've met before, because Scopper Gaban he said long time no see, right, or something like that. So they probably met like in God Valley or something.
I think it all collects in that final page where that all kind of makes sense of Summers loses his arm and he's not particularly worried. He looks at the stump and says, oh, that's weird, it's not regenerating. And then he hears Gaban saying, it's been a while. Turns around and connects the fact that he's not regenerating with the fact that Scopper Gaban is here. And he's like, oh dear, now I'm in real trouble because I already know this guy can hurt me. And connecting it to the, I've just seen a ghost. This guy shouldn't exist.
Right.
Like, I'm very excited. One Piece has the amazing ability to have you desperately excited for every chapter,
and hooked.
And the second the chapter comes, you just want the one afterwards.
Right. Righty, Cyclo. I think it's a fair point, to be fair.
Yeah. Sorry, someone's trying to
all right. No
interrupt me.
Alrighty. So, you were saying?
Refresh me. Summers is scared of Gaban. Either because he didn't know to expect Scopper Gaban, which I think we can assume is true. They weren't worried about Gaban. They knew that Luffy was on the island. But they weren't worried about an old legend. And the fact that he does seem to be able to cancel his regeneration. Because there is some discussion on that. Do you think that he's going to regenerate next chapter?
I mean, to be fair, Oda left it this way for us to start this discourse, I guess, because now we got 2 weeks. We genuinely cannot assume anything. Like, you can expect that he's going to regenerate and nothing happened. Or you can expect that Scopper Gaban knows how to like fight these people, the Gorosei, the Holy Knights, and these guys. I genuinely cannot assume, But if we're gonna talk about the style of Oda or how he likes to write old people, like old legends from the old generation and stuff, nah, he's gonna
Yeah,
give Copacabana his moment. So,
yeah,
yeah,
like
yeah, he's gonna give him his
he's
moment.
gonna show off.
Yeah,
He's gonna
because
show off for
yeah,
sure.
Oda loves his old generation guys, the legends of the old
Mhm,
generation. So he's gonna
mhm.
definitely not make Copacabana look. I'm not gonna say look bad, but not.
Yeah,
Yeah, he wouldn't make Copacabana look as good as he made him in this chapter. So I think
yeah,
he's gonna lose his arm. But what's crazy to me is that okay, it definitely is an error, right? Because he lost his left hand, and then in the final
yeah,
panel it was his right hand. But I would assume
yeah.
it's originally his left hand, right, from the first panel when Scopocaban was running towards him with his axes, right?
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
So his left hand was the hand that got the abyss mark. So does it really affect the fact that he's a holy knight and he's summoned through this mark or the tattoo or whatever that he got in his hand, the abyss mark? So does that like I don't know?
Is that correct?
Yeah,
Is it's on his arm?
yeah, on his left arm. Yeah,
Okay,
I'm sorry, not hand, arm. Yeah,
okay. No, oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
yep,
It's just okay.
yeah. So
Here's an interesting point though.
yeah,
Let's go to this panel real quick. It's on his
yep,
elbow,
yep, yep, yep.
and but that area is specifically still there. He loses the upper
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
portion of his arm.
yeah. Right,
So
right.
whilst that is that's a so maybe Gaban has attacked the tattoo in some way, or the abyss mark, and that's all it has taken. It wouldn't have to be Conqueror's Haki. It wouldn't have to be anything specific. It's just I've hit you in the right area,
I mean, do you think?
which would be an observation Haki
Yeah, definitely.
fighting style, I guess.
But do you think that mark like is the reason why they can like transport or be summoned and the whole immortality and everything is basically on that mark or like it has to do something with
I
emo
do.
like
I think it could be like a tattoo thing. I'm trying to almost like um, a sigil that like levels up. Let's say.
makes
Whereas
sense.
at level 1 you can teleport, and at level 2 you get immortality, and at level 3 you get their Gorosei's weird like demon forms, like different levels of power between it. But I don't think that whatever ability is keeping the Gorosei immortal is the same as what's happening with Summers and the other Holy Knights. At least insofar as they can't transform into these giant monsters, maybe.
All right. All right.
But if they can, if it turns out that they can,
Mhm.
everything goes out the window. I just have no idea. No, there's a whole. I said that we couldn't introduce a power system,
Yeah.
but magic as a power system is absolutely becoming a thing, which is interesting to say the least.
I mean, to be fair, it totally makes sense for Emo to be the person, the character to not invent, to be the character that introduces a new whole power system. It just totally makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah. You would not
yeah,
see any other character who's not a Holy Knight or a Gorosei that will have this type of power. I can assure you
yeah,
that. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
So, all right,
yeah,
we move to the next point, which is relatively like similar to this because Scopper Gaban and Summers, did they met
yeah.
in God Valley? And if so, wait, I'm sorry. And if so, will we see a finally the whole version of God Valley flashback in this arc? Like the full version, bro. Like the Rocks, Roger, Garb, everything. Not like from Kuma's perspective, okay?
Um, we know that there's going to be a couple, at least one or two more islands after this. That was the original. Like, if they're just traveling how they're supposed to travel,
Yeah.
it's like Lodestar
Yeah,
Island
Lodestar, yeah.
and then Laughtale.
Yeah.
Um, and I would expect that we're going to get answers about. Gaban asked Luffy to find him after they'd all saved Elbaf. Like, if Elbaf is still standing once this is all over, come find me.
Yeah.
that would be a good chance for Gaban to say, "Let me explain some things. Let me tell you about the day I met Shanks." When they because Shanks is probably found in a treasure box by Roger,
Okay.
like Uther was by him.
Yeah.
There are references to that being nostalgic and all of that kind of stuff. So God's Valley is such an important part of the story that I can't see it happening until right before the end.
And Lodestar, so. Mhm.
I think we would get that at Lodestar.
I mean, some.
That's my opinion on that.
Okay, yeah. I mean, to be fair, it totally makes sense because it gets to a point that it makes me think that this is too important to the fact that we shouldn't get the flashback in this arc or anytime soon because now we're slowly getting some new stuff, new secrets in the One Piece world that happened in the Void Century or whatever like Emo and Joy Boy were doing back then. We're slowly getting some new information towards that, but now getting the God Valley flashback means you're gonna get everything, bro. Everything. Like, definitely gonna reveal some stuff related to Shanks and Blackbeard, who are so important in the final saga.
Yeah.
So I think
Yeah.
I genuinely do not want to see the God Valley flashback in Elba. I mean, yeah, I definitely want to see it, because I'm curious. But
would it be the right time?
Exactly.
No,
Yeah.
probably not.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to see it through the lens of Sommers and Gaban having a back and forth either. I'd want it to be someone talking to Luffy, or like maybe when Luffy gives the straw hat to Shanks.
Yeah, totally makes sense.
But how would Shanks have memories of that time? It's not really relevant how it ends up happening. I do just think we as readers aren't ready for it because we're still trying to understand Imu and the God's Knights and the Gorosei.
Yeah.
And whilst God's Valley will be helpful with that, that's also where we're going to find out everything about Rocks.
Absolutely.
And he is still a big, giant question mark.
Yeah.
Even though we kind of know what Imu's about now, we kind of know what his powers are, or at least that he has them. We don't know anything about Rocks and how he managed to corral Whitebeard and Big Mom and Kaido and all of those people. The God's Valley becomes more interesting the longer we don't see it.
I mean, honestly, if it was for me, like after Laugh Tale, I wouldn't mind it. Not even in Lodestar, like.
Well, because the stories can't be over once we get to Laugh Tale.
Yeah.
Like, there's still, like, my theory's always been that, or at least for a while now, has been that once they get to Laugh Tale, they'll have to go all the way back to Dawn Island, and it'll just be like going back through every all the people that they've met and gathering all of like their allies on the way to like this final battle for Dawn,
including Vivi.
Include everyone that they can. Vivi, I would expect to turn up at the end of this arc.
What? How? Wait, how?
She's on her way towards them, right? She's trying. What was she up to last we saw? She was with Wapol and Morgans.
Yeah. And she's talking about Luffy, right?
Well, she had edited the newspaper so that Luffy had a picture of the X.
Yeah.
So she's paying attention to Luffy, and I assumed in my head that meant they were heading that way. And I think Morgans would agree that that's probably where they want to be in terms of the news.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Dope.
All right. We move to the next point, which is Gerald, whatever you want to call him. Now the traitor theories are dead, right? I mean, gotta be.
For the people at home, were people thinking that Ja Rule was a traitor?
Yeah.
And that Was that connected to the sword in his head?
Yeah, because
In any way?
it was the same sword as Harold the king, which many people are assuming that he's a traitor, which is he's definitely was a traitor, or he was a guy who was trying to manipulate his way into Marijwa, or working with the world government, like in a way that it gonna make Elbaf as what the world government really want them to be, right? Because as we've seen with Summers, he was saying that I want you guys to burn all the schools, all the libraries, and all.
Yeah.
So many people were saying that Harold definitely was working his way to do that. So was Yarrow like including in that?
Well, I think the fact that Harold's sword is through Jarl's head
Yeah,
would suggest that maybe Harold was a traitor, or in some way working against Elbaf and giants in general.
yeah,
And then when that was all found out, Daryl's the only one that survived because he's got a big sword through his head
yeah.
that removed half of his memory. He doesn't know what happened in that
Ooh,
time.
okay.
And the only one that actually knows are Loki and Hyrule.
Yes.
And the fact that once we get back to Loki and Luffy and that group,
Yeah.
I feel like we'll start to get even more answers and more momentum through Elma. But I don't think that Ja Rule is a traitor. I think he has information that he doesn't remember. I think he's got really, really important information that he does not currently remember.
Okay. I guess that makes sense for the oldest man on Earth. So, yeah, I mean,
Not sure.
yeah. Okay. I mean, I think I used to believe that he was the key guy, the key part of the whole Harold. How is he gonna like sell Elbaf to the world government? I used to believe that. So I used to believe that he's a traitor, but the past couple of chapters made me believe that he genuinely cares about Elbaf and the children and the citizens and all these people. So it's crazy to me because if I was in his shoes, I would definitely pick the let's burn everything. I don't want the kids to die. Yeah, I mean even the parents of the children or the citizens, they were having a discussion that they were saying no, do not burn them. Yeah, let's save them. So even the elderly Elbaf citizens were pretty much hesitant because we don't want to burn everything like a 3,000 years of information, books and generations of secrets and
Yeah. O'Hara's secrets.
yeah, heritage, legacy, everything Elbaf and Professor
Yep.
Clover and all these guys worked for. You're gonna basically burn it. So, do you think the owl has to do something with it so that they basically can?
I would hope so. I hope so. I hope that they can shrink and grow things, right? So they might have been able to get the books out if they do start the fire. Because none of that actually happened, right? We got the chapter title was Ronya,
Yeah.
and that was the young girl that was being forced by
Respect.
and her speech. Yeah, her speech. A little like Momo's speech,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Broadcast and then eating out of the village. She's like, I love school, I have lots of friends, the books are the reason, so you can't get rid of those. I think, I mean, historically, that's when Sanji shows up and says, "You know, well done, kid,"
Okay.
and then we'll take it from here.
All right.
Robin is crying, which is another like. I really don't expect the books in the library to burn because what are the Straw Hats doing if not saving like Robin's legacy and stuff like that?
Absolutely.
Like they're a Yonko crew. They like unacceptable. That would be an unacceptable loss for both Robin and Elbaf. that I think the Straw Hats need to get in front of. So we'll see how they manage to do that.
All right.
But
Now it leads us to the next point, which is, when do you think the guys that are the in the underworld realm are gonna finally show up, bro? It's been so long, dude.
yeah, we always get these breaks in between as well that make it feel double long. I think it's
Yeah.
been what 4 or 5 chapters. We saw Luffy and Loki both like chunked out on food, but other than that,
Yeah.
we haven't seen hide nor hair of them, and it's stressful because there's a lot of fighting going on,
Exactly.
and maybe it's only an issue because our 3 strongest fighters weren't there at the, and even the other giant warriors, like the giant pirates are the strongest giants
Yes.
out there, and they are currently in the underworld as well.
Yeah.
So the only people that are defending the children and stuff right now are the B team,
Yes.
as it were. So once they come back, that should be a triumphant return, ideally. So that could start at the end of next chapter. I would say
Hopefully.
it could start at the end of next chapter.
Please.
Yeah, fingers crossed. We'll probably get Gaban and Scopper fighting because there's no way that's the end of the battle.
All right.
Let's say Gaban and Scopper.
Yeah. All right. The giant warriors, the Elbaf warriors, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
Are they disappointing or not?
Well, I like I said, I think they're not there. They're not disappointing so much as they followed Hyrule, right? And they're in the underworld as it stands.
Yeah, but we've seen
Once
the people
they get there,
I'm sorry, the people with Dorian Brogy as well. They were there fighting, but they.
yeah, okay. So we're talking people like Gerd and not Gerd, Ripley,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Just the giants that are around. I mean, it's hard because the only scaling they have is against Killingham's technique.
Yeah.
So is Killingham very strong, or are the giants disappointing? 6 of one and half a dozen of the other. I did notice a specific lack of Killingham this chapter.
Oh yeah.
We didn't see any of his creatures or any of him, really. So I wonder what he's up to. The Elbaf's setup has been really interesting. Will the guys come back this chapter, next chapter, the one after? I think that they will start to come back and Killingham will intercept them. Maybe by accident.
Luffy's
But
on
that's
Sanji.
how I could see them running into one of the God's Knights before interacting with this battle that we're seeing now.
Yeah. I mean,
Gaban handles Summers and Gunko, while the monster trio and everyone else gets held back by an unkillable Holy Knight who they don't have the means to defeat, right?
right.
Which then leads us eventually into a training arc, essentially.
Please no.
Or,
This is not the time. A Yonko crew.
Insofar as, well, you can do a training arc. They could give us the Gods Valley flashback whilst people are training.
Yeah.
You could go and view the other parts of the world that we're not seeing right now, what's Smoker up to, what's Kobe up to, blah blah blah.
I mean, to be fair, we get back to the point. When it comes to Elbaf Giants, the warrior of Elbaf being disappointing, to be fair, I'm just used to not have high hopes when it comes to the people in the arc in this kingdom that we're going to, like the Dressrosa people, the Wano people, the only people that everybody everybody had high hopes for them were the samurai. And guess what? they were somewhat disappointing, if not like totally disappointing. Okay, so yeah, you were saying something.
No, I would say that you're right.
Yeah,
But if the people of these islands could save themselves with the strength that they have, they would have saved themselves.
I
And that's
absolutely
why,
agree. Yeah,
you know, that's why the beautiful scene of Kinemon waiting, like hearing Odin's words about heroes that would arrive in 20, blah, all of that stuff. Um, like that's who Luffy is. So the Holy Knights came to Elbaf knowing that they could handle Elbaf.
yes,
Like that's the squad that was sent in.
yeah.
You can't judge Elbaf for not being ready.
I
Right?
mean, that's not the
Um,
case because you simply cannot defeat the Holy Knights not just because they're so strong, but
mhm.
because they're immortal and you simply cannot attack them. So that's a whole different case. But when it comes
It's
to
both,
Wano,
yeah.
yeah, let's say Wano and the Samurai and the Akazaya and all these guys. People weren't expecting the Akazaya, the Kiyomon, the Denjiro, these guys to be able to defeat Kaido. But they were expecting to be able to defend themselves. Yes, we want the struggle, and Oda loves his struggle, trust me. He loves it. Especially with the kids and these guys and the parent who struggled his whole life with his like daughter and all that stuff. But we didn't want the Akazaya to be disappointing. At least they can have like show something, prove something, you know? And they were totally
Yeah.
disappointing, to be fair. So, right.
Okay. I know that we're a few arcs on from it, but what Oda could have done is try to match each Straw Hat, aside from Luffy, match each Straw Hat with one of the samurai, and then they could have had like duo battles. So say like Brook and Kawamatsu were a team up against one of the enemies,
Absolutely.
and Chopper and Denjiro maybe would have been fun, and just you can give more screen time to them
Yes.
by connecting them to the Straw Hats, because ultimately every victory we see is connected to the Straw Hats for the most part. Even I mean, that's probably true just throughout the whole story.
Yeah.
Those-
I mean, just probably Izo killing one of the CP0 was the only thing that happened. And Killer with, who was it? Who was with Killer? Hawkins, right?
Killer and Kid with Hawkins.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
This was probably it. So, I mean, so they were they disappointing or not? We wait, right? We can't judge right now.
We've got to wait. We've got to wait, because we wouldn't have said when the Akazaya were like shouting Sonachi and like it's a raid, like pushing Kaido down. Like we wouldn't have said they were disappointing at that point. It's just once you finish the raid and like Ashigara Doji is dead and like Izo dead, and it's like, oh, you guys didn't really do as much as you said you were gonna do.
Yeah. The conclusion of Wano was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see how and that's a fair point, because like, are the Giants fighting enough? Are they?
I mean,
But they're not able to. They're held hostage.
Yeah,
I don't think it's fair.
yeah, but they should be because I mean, the reputation of Elbaf and the Warriors and all these stuff. I mean, you should
Yeah.
at least like show up, bro, and do something. I mean,
It's a fair point, but their kids are in danger, and so it's easier for the Straw Hats to act because it's not their children that are in
Right.
trouble, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if it was your kids, you wouldn't. And someone said, "Don't move," you wouldn't move.
Right.
So I respect the Giants for having both arguments. The ones that are saying like we can't burn the books, and the ones that are saying we have to burn the books.
Yeah.
I think that's a very well done point that Oda has reached there.
Right.
Which is why now we need the Straw Hats to come in and make sure that we don't have to burn the books at all. It's time to save the day.
Yeah. When you say Straw Hats, do you mean the Monster Trio or all of them? Like.
Well, in this scenario, Robin first showed up to start the counterattack, as it were.
Yeah.
She slows them down, and then eventually that gives enough time for Gaban to show up, and then Gaban will fight them for enough time for the Monster Trio to show up and hopefully push them off of Elbaf.
Okay.
but it depends how deep Oda wants to take this arc. The whole island could end up destroyed by the end of it. That's
Oh
the
no
level of
no no
power
no
that
no no
we're.
no no
That's
no
the
no no.
level of power that we're working with. In remember, Elbaf's biggest weakness is lightning and flame,
Big Mom. Simply.
and no one has a bigger flame at the moment
Then.
than Imu and the Mother Flame.
Oh yeah yeah. Oh shit. Oh my god. I mean,
we,
I mean, they should be an ally to Luffy.
I think, I'm scared, but that could easily be how Elbaf ends. Remember, it's the land of
Damn.
fable, it's the land of fairy tales, right? So what if it stopped existing after this?
Oh, the scene is gonna be. Oh my god. Can you like imagine?
As everyone's leaving and they see the Mother Flame start to crash, and it really gives everyone that reason to fight and to stop Imu.
Arguably.
Luffy doesn't have much of a reason at the moment.
Yeah. True. I mean, a 10,000-year-old kingdom being destroyed like that, vanished. Oh, it's gonna be crazy. Okay, now we move to the other thing, which is related to Elbaf.
Yeah.
I've seen a discourse like the past, I don't know, week or so. People were kind of disappointed the fact that the Holy Knights were the final villains of the arc. So, do you think that they are actually the final villains, or would you think like some people? I've seen some people saying a Kaino or something. So, what do you think?
Mate, if we could ever guess what Oda is going to do and say for sure that this is the thing,
Yeah.
then we'd be reading a different
I
story.
mean, who would have
For all
thought the
we
whole
know,
Grossi would be in Egghead, bro? Insane.
for all we know, half of the Blackbeard pirates could show up and add something to the mix. Big Mom could just rip herself out of the magma
Please.
from underneath.
Please.
I did say that it would be really interesting if we saw like they're fighting all of the nightmares. All of the, people are scared of like whatever they're scared of, and someone sees a Big Mom nightmare because people on Elbaf are scared of her, and they're like, "I'll get it," and they go to destroy it, and it doesn't work at all because it's actually the real Big Mom,
Oh my.
and she's just
Chills,
there
bro. Chills.
starving, covered in lava, all of that stuff.
And would she be a
I
villain?
hope we don't. I hope we don't see the whole of Elbaf without seeing Big Mom.
Absolutely.
Um,
And Yusuf's kid as well.
Yeah, kids. I mean, because it's not like the whole crew died. Some of them are still on Elbaf,
Yep.
surely.
Yep. I mean, at
Like
least
Killer should be there.
even if we say kid is dead, at least we gotta see his body like in the beach or something. Like it is
Yeah.
in the zone, in the area of Elba, so he gotta be there. At least we gotta see
Yeah.
his body, right? So
You'd think.
yeah. So I mean, I
You'd
would
think.
yeah. Hopefully, I mean, would you be like more satisfied if Shamrock was still in Elbaf? Like it could have been way more like.
I suppose did we not see him teleport away?
I mean, he's going back to Merijua. That's what they said.
But we never saw it happen. So he could still be there. I didn't even think about that. The second he said, "I'm going back to Merijua," I was like, "Oh, he's gone.
Yeah.
He's left the
And
island."
then he just said,
That's not
"Let's
true.
make it a game," and boom, he's gone.
Yeah. No, I think it would be weird to finish this arc without any news of Captain Eustace Kid, whether it was a true confirmation on his death or, that bastard Shanks, I'll get you, and he's going to chase him, whatever. He's he's missing both arms now. Who knows? But whatever it is, no, I definitely think Kid is coming back into the story. It'd be surprising not to. Just like Law, who's going to be back in the story eventually.
Yes.
Hey, he could turn up in Elbaf.
Low. Yeah.
Why not? They didn't have any other direction.
Yeah, but why would he? Like, we don't.
Well, he doesn't have a boat, so it's wherever Beppo can take him, right? Without allies, he's got. It's just if it's just Beppo and Law, he might make his way to the Straw Hats intentionally.
But wait, what about his sub? Where is it?
His submarine was destroyed by the Blackbeard pirates.
Wait, for real? Oh.
Yeah, the Polar Tang was
Oh,
destroyed.
Yeah. Why did I even forget about? All right. Oh.
Because Elbaf was a confusing arc, my
Yeah.
friend. Elbaf was a confusing arc, and it's been a while.
Yeah.
But yeah,
You
it's
mean
been about.
Egghead? You mean
been about
Egghead? You even said Elba.
Egghead. But yeah, it's been over 2 years since we saw Law,
Yeah.
I think. But yeah, so he could turn up on Elbaf. There's so much that Oda can just drop in at any point, especially now that he's added teleportation.
Yes.
We're never safe, is the point. And if you think that, I guess if people think that Oda's got a disappointing arc ahead of them,
Nah.
you're gonna be surprised.
Yeah, the final saga is gonna be insane. I mean,
We can't even conceptualize what it would look like yet.
yeah.
Like other members of the Gorosei could shift. You know, it doesn't have to be Mars and Jupiter and all of those. By the time that the Straw Hats fight them, it could be other people.
Yeah.
It could be Blackbeard as one of them. He's fallen up. He's fallen upwards throughout for the last part of the story.
I mean, yeah, right. I mean, if Egghead was full of like hype moments and crazy stuff, the Grossi are there, Kizaru, and his flashback Kuma with Boney and all these insane stuff. So it's all moments, and yeah.
Well, consider then that if we were going to compare this to Egghead, this is the part where Luffy's fighting Lucci. We're still not at the actual fights. This is still like the Seraphim battles and stuff.
Yes.
You know. Can Akainu show up? Yeah. Green Ball could show up and he'd be very strong on Elba.
I mean, because
with his devil fruit.
Yeah, but how long will the Holy Knights and the story of the kids and all of that, how long will it last? Because it's gonna get stale, right? Because eventually we're gonna get bored of this. So we know Summers is evil and Gonko as well and killing him.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
It's a very good point. Like this is it, there's a childishness to the evil of the Holy Knights that we're seeing at the moment. That's like that needs to come to an end pretty quickly.
Yep.
And that's what Robin was doing when she jumped in. Like big roses for Robin this chapter. She was amazing, jumping in, taking damage, not being worried. Like, you know, if he wasn't immortal, he would have been done.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have mattered who he was.
And with his glitchy devil fruit, bro. How did he get that thorn like a Spider-Man? Bro, that was it like hanging in a tree branch or something? Bro, how is that even possible? Like, how did he even do that with your devil fruit? He's doing it like Katakuri with his Muchi. It's too OP.
Yeah, it's an interesting point.
Yeah.
Because actually, I'm looking at the panel now, and whilst it looks like it grows out of the wood of Elba, or of the tree that they're on, but that could just, but it looks like it grows out of the wood of it. So if his devil fruit connects him to the wood around him, just like Green Bull's would, he's a lot more dangerous than he had shown himself so far.
Right, absolutely. Okay, rank the Holy Knights real quick. Who's the strongest?
The ones on Elbaf.
Yeah.
But Shamrock, Thomas, Killingham, Gonko.
I think Gonku is stronger.
In terms of battle power.
I mean, based on what we've seen from Gonku, I think she's like so far stronger than Killingham, as we've seen. Like,
it's tough because Killingham's holding off all of the giants on his own, just without even doing anything.
Okay, wait. To be fair, what is Killingham's powers? Like, how is he even fighting? I don't know. I genuinely, I don't know. Like,
This is like that's what the Gorosei have been saying about Luffy for
yeah.
weeks now. Like,
Now I can
what
relate
even
now.
is his power?
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know. He just I was fighting him and he just pulled out a tree and he turned into a. What am I supposed to do? I don't know.
Because isn't it like nightmares and stuff? You can turn it into reality. This is it.
He can seemingly pull anything out of subconscious dreaming, right? So it doesn't have to be a nightmare. He can pull the
Oh yeah,
salt
yeah.
out
Yeah.
of a dream and stuff
Right,
as
right.
well. So just like the dream fruit or something like that.
But it's a legendary zone, right?
Oh, oh yeah, of course. He's a legendary Zoan.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess that it just connects through that. But yeah, no, it's bizarre, right? Like it shouldn't work how it does.
I don't know.
Based on what we know of Zoans, it's more of a paramecia power by far. Um, and again, every chapter that we get answers for every question in One Piece is another chapter that I'm not happy. But we'll get there eventually.
All right. How long will Elbaf last? Do you think? Like how many chapters?
I mean, we've could be 50 chapters. Like we've got Loki stuff
50
to deal with.
chapters?
It could be 50.
Like
Could
25
be
chapters left? Nah.
no. I'm saying it could be another 50 from now.
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. We've got to fight the Holy Knights. We've got to figure out how to beat them. We've got Loki's answers. We've got the history of Elbaf to talk about. Whatever Vegapunk has been up to in that lab that they found.
Right.
Ideally fixing Kuma. But all of that. I mean, you could get through all of it in 10, 20 chapters, but that's not really Oda's way.
Yeah. He can milk it to like around 80, 90, 100 chapters, probably.
Oda could just get bored and have the Arc Maxim crash into Elbaf's tree and have Enel just reappear into the
Oh
story like
my
that.
god. Oh, that's gonna create a whole nother level of
Fire and lightning. That's the Elbaf's
oh
weakness.
shit. Okay. Okay. I mean,
People
I would assume that
people like their own,
because Oda was simply dreaming of finally drawing and creating Elbaf, I would assume that he's gonna probably make it last until like whatever he's got in mind. He, because I simply cannot think.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Oda is the type of guy who can make the chapter last until whatever he wants, even if people were assuming, like,
Yeah.
for example, Egghead. Many people were saying it's gonna be a simple, short arc, like a 20, 30 chapters. It turned out to be the fourth longest arc in One Piece, bro.
Yeah, it was like 80 chapters or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that.
So Oda can create his way into making Elbaf one of the longest arcs. He can we can.
I'd be surprised if it wasn't.
Yes, thank you. So, I would say around 100 chapters is fair for Elbaf.
Yeah, because to put it this way, Oda's had Elbaf planned for a long time. So anything that Oda had planned for Elbaf needs to happen in Elbaf.
Yeah.
I'm sure that it will happen in Elbaf. At the same time, there's a lot of stuff that's happened throughout the story that Oda hasn't planned. That's just because it makes sense and has to happen.
Yeah.
So that extends the story. So we're going to get everything that Oda wants, which is probably brave stuff from Usopp. And I mean, who knows what Oda wants from his arcs. But we're going to see all of it that he wants to show us.
And keep in mind that we're definitely gonna get a long flashback. It doesn't necessarily have to be a God Valley, but it definitely gotta be like Harold, Loki, the past of Elbaf, somewhat like I don't know. If you're saying Gerald or Yarl, he lost his memory or something like that. He's gonna get it back in
Mhm.
this arc, throughout this arc, and we're probably gonna get the flashback in Yarrow's perspective, perhaps like the story of Harold, Loki, and
Mhm.
finally making Loki look innocent, not as they're like,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Because
So
Hyrudin, he definitely implied to Hyrudin, it's like you know that I didn't do that.
yes,
Like you know that I didn't do
yeah.
that.
So that's a 15 chapters flashback, I would assume.
Well, we'll yeah. Unless he makes it as short as Kaido's,
No,
you
no,
know.
no. That's a special occasion. That doesn't happen
First, I was a little guy.
And then I grew up. And then I became Kaido, as you guys know. And this is it. But wait, to be fair, Kuma's flashback was 13 chapters. And there's nobody expected Kuma's flashback to be 13 chapters. So I would assume that Elbaf and the kingdom that every One Piece reader, watcher, whatever, every One Piece fan was waiting for this arc. So I want to see everything. I want to know everything on Elbaf, about Elbaf. I want to know every single detail. So if you're getting a flashback of Elbaf, it has to be fully detailed on Elbaf from the very beginning. Not the very beginning, but you get it, right?
Yeah, I could see it. I could see maybe, I don't know, like something about the way you said it made me think maybe they will destroy some of the history of Elbaf,
Damn.
and that part of the thing at the end will be that like Robin sits down with Ja Rule and just writes out that actually correct history again.
This actually make
Maybe.
more sense, and would make the Holy Knights look good, I guess, because not burning. I'm not gonna say not burning the libraries and the schools would make the Holy Knights look geek. No, I'm not saying that, but I would believe that the Holy Knights
Like
gotta
they need
do
to win.
not win necessarily, but Oda gotta make them look tough, gotta make them look believable as a villains, because now all we see from Summers is talk, talk, talk. He hates people. He can turn love into death or whatever. He loves making people miserable. Blah blah blah. It's talk, talk, talk. So now we gotta see them do. So if you're gonna make them wanna burn the libraries, schools, whatever, do not just make them
I'm with you.
eventually look like geeks. If that makes sense.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Yeah. All right.
All right. So
Any other points that you had down there?
I mean, to be fair, this is it, and I think
Yeah.
we've been live for over, like, exactly 1 hour. So this is perfect. Thank you.
It's a good time to yeah.
The time really.
This has been an
passed
absolute pleasure. I hope that you've enjoyed it, and I hope that anyone that
super
sat down
fun.
and listened to us has enjoyed it.
Really fun. I mean, I genuinely didn't think that would last more than an hour. So thank you. This is really. fun.
You're just a pleasure to be around, Marco. I can't help it.
Thank you. All right.
All right. Well, like I say, yeah, we've been doing this a while. I'll let you go, and we'll discuss the next chapter next time, and anything that we've touched on here, maybe we'll
Alright.
get back to.
All right. So, thank
Okay.
you guys for watching this stream, whether you're watching it live or catching up later. Thank you, and please convince Cyclo to be there every week or every time a new chapter releases, and hopefully he will be there. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you, Cyclo.
Try my best.
Do you got anything?
Thank
to
you.
say
Hope
left?
everyone's enjoyed themselves, and see you later.
Alrighty. Thank you,
Alright.
guys. See you guys.